Good morning or afternoon or evening or whatever your pronouns may be. Oh, I'm probably getting our Facebook banned for that comment, but what the hell. Yeah, pissed off parent here, having fun. Just again, I've kind of get into this whole live streaming thing, and I'm a tech nerd, so I love doing this kind of stuff and sharing information and all kinds of stuff. Actually, it's like my chat. Well, the initial one is working. In order to use the chat feature, try to keep it semi-clean, you'll need to go to the Pissed Off Parent live page, have a kind of a relationship with the other groups out there that do some cross-posting and things like that. So it may or may not appear on other live streams. But there's unfortunately an issue where chat, unless I do all kinds of weird stuff behind the scenes, it won't come over into one huge thing, and I'm not going to pay a bunch of money to make that happen because I'm cheap or frugal, as I like to say in the old country. Anyway, kind of what I'm on here today to talk about for anyone that cares to listen is I got a chance to watch because again I'm a nerd. I watched the JJFI, which is the Juvenile Justice Idiot Committee that met in Austin on Friday, just yesterday, where they were talking about family violence, but mainly to talk about making it easier, more accessible for victims and those accused to defend themselves in court using basically the open court idea with being able to handle everything via Zoom. And it had a number of people on, all the things that you would normally think would happen. I forgot to put a graphic up. See, this is the thing. Well, thankfully, I'm not getting paid for this. I have a graphic from on pissedoffparent.com under the Women That Abuse page, aptly named, that actually shows the data on who perpetrators are and how that works. Again, violence of any kind's not good, and we shouldn't have it, and it's bad. But continually, we still have this. Men are always the bad people, and I think probably preaching to the choir once again on the group here. That's just not always the case, and violence comes in different areas. But the thing that I wanted to talk about is I went ahead and pulled the video down, and the sections of it was about I think 2 hours long, and there was a number of people speaking. Again, the overwhelming majority was from violent advocacy groups and things like that. Actually, oddly enough, in Tarrant County was a lot of it. A lot of people there had, again, talking about the different parts there. But there were some little gems that I picked up on. And again, I know this is boring for most people. It was a 2 hour long session, and the I don't know how to describe it. There was just the typical, every cliche, everything you could possibly imagine occurred in that whole session. And then there was a special featured that everyone should know and love that was at the very end. The legendary Jeff Morgan, who did his little one-on-one working back and forth with Victoria Niave. So what I want to do again is talk about, play the video and offer some commentary on what them talking about, making that easier. And again, I just took a few minutes out and we kind of offered some pieces there. So it was just watch and see. I'll try to keep my comments offline or my comments to a minimum because I know I don't want it to go on too long. But here's the video.
Where you really want to go, and I think if we just do a couple of these things, just if law enforcement starts charging folks with other offenses that relate to protective orders, that little bit of a start is better than nothing.
Yeah, I'm still scratching my head on that, where the officers are calling you and telling you that they can't enforce a temporary protective order. I mean, it's the law. So, what are they offering any rationale for why, other than it's going to expire in 3 days or?
They don't believe they're enforceable, and so I just, attempt to educate them. in the most polite and respectful way that I can come up with, because in my mind I'm thinking that's what I'm thinking, but you can't say that. And so I just go through and say, these are enforceable, and I go to the code and read how these are enforceable. And they have the same full force and effect as any other protective order, an emergency protective order, a final protective order. They are enforceable. And almost always the officers, the conversation ends with, well, I didn't know that. So we're gonna get on it, and thank you for your time. Thank you for letting me know that, because I didn't know. And it ends there, and I'll say something like, well, you can spread the word in your department if you want to. Something like that, because it really is a lack of information. I don't think law enforcement doesn't want to be bothered. They don't care. I really do. The individuals that I speak with, they really don't think that temporary protective orders are enforceable.
Okay. And then do those phone calls that you're referring to, do they normally result from the victim calling you and saying, the officers came out here but they didn't arrest him? And then you call the officer, or the officer's calling you?
It's always that.
Okay. The first.
Well, no, I'm sorry. When it's on cases that we have,
right,
it's our victims calling us. But then we get random calls from officers say, hey, got a case and this happened, but this is temporary protective order, and what are my other options? I'm like, you don't need another option. That violation is sufficient. You don't have to look for another offense. If all he did was show up to a place that he was prohibited, you don't have to look to see if if he had a weapon and if there was an assault. If he was in violation, within 200 yards of the protected place, a joker gets to go to jail based on that alone. And so we have that kind of conversation.
Okay. Yes. I think most people should follow court orders, right? I mean, it's pretty simple.
Yeah, that's a thought. It's good.
And anything like in that regard, with regard to the technology, that was the other part of the charge. I mean, is there anything that you can think of? I mean, as far as the educational aspect of that, do you think it is a matter of corresponding with police chiefs and with the short memo that talks about this issue specifically, or
the extent, because I'm not a technology person really. Really for technology, if something could pop up in TCIC when a person is pulled over for whatever, or when they have contact with law enforcement, if something could pop up to say this person is subject of a protective order, because maybe it is a DWI, or maybe it's a drug case, or it's whatever kind of case. But if they search the vehicle and there's a gun, and he's a respondent or she's a respondent in a protective order, that's a violation of that protective order. And because I do this, when I see those kinds of cases, I don't look at that's a drug dealer who has a gun to protect his dope. I look at it as that's a drug dealer who has a gun and he's going to shoot my lady. So I don't look at it, I'm not seeing it as this is the drunk driver who has a gun and he's going to have an accident and tear up public property. I say, this is a guy who's driving drunk and he's got a gun trying to get to my victim's house and is going to hurt her. And so I want that to stop. And if those protective orders were enforced that way, that might give some additional protections.
And who all has access to the TCIC?
Peace officers.
Okay.
My understanding.
Does the DA's office have as well?
Yes.
Okay.
what about like as far as when under the law, the clerk's office, and I don't know if it's clerk and or your office would notify the local law enforcement, whether it's the city and or the sheriff and that sort of thing. What's the format of how that gets delivered? I mean, is there some way that we could have a bold-faced, underlined message that temporary and or final protective orders are enforceable by?
Yes, and well, as far as getting information into TCIC,
Well, just, yeah, so as far as like when we get a protective order issued and the clerk's office, you always list, this is the Mansfield Police Department, Tarrant County Sheriff's Department, and then somebody's going to, I don't know that part, we do that and then it gets taken care of. So is it the clerk's office that's taking care of that, notifying the law enforcement?
yes, it is the clerk's office. And in Tarrant County, they stay late. So if we're having a protective order hearing, somebody is going to be in the clerk's office so that if that protective order is granted, they send notice out to the agencies the same day, even if it's, 5:30 or 6 o'clock after business hours. They get that out expeditiously.
Yeah, so can you provide maybe to the chair and to the committee what that looks like? I mean, what type of notice? Is it something where, like where we often, we see a lot of warnings on different, orders that are, submitted, but it might just be something as easy as having a boldface, underlined, written statement that talks about the enforceability of temporary protective orders. But just, we're looking for technology, options. Maybe that's a simple one that's in front of us. So maybe if you could share with us an example, redacted, type of order that
All
shows.
right. So, again, they're talking about protective orders. So, trying to level set this, or trying to make it real for everybody. You have people that are like, oh, one of my topics I talk about is 2503, which is custody interference, and the police department, DAs, everyone that's involved, just not enforcing it. Again, I've done a number of videos. There's just so much information on the fact that it's not being enforced. And people care, don't care, whatever. Well, this is protective orders. So this is, right, wrong, or indifferent. There's been a protective order entered, and the same thing's happening. And then you got the leaders here are like, oh, well, it's the law. Oh, well, we should put something in bold-faced print. And that, the thing is if there's a protective order or 2503, these people are not going to go, oh, well, it's in the law, it's documented, blah 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 blah, and I better follow it. No, you need to start arresting these people and putting them in jail. But it looks like here, just from the 2-hour-long video and just the different pieces there, that it's just not being enforced. And I put a comment there on TCIC, and I would hope that Larry O'Neill, who runs Fort Worth Memories, the next time he speaks with Sheriff Wayborn, or maybe I'll be doing it myself, we'll see, but the next time he talks to him, goes, what's this TCIC and the access there? Because apparently the police officers have ready access to this, and have had ready access to this. They have protective orders. And again, I'm a technology guy. This isn't just so you're going to have one piece of information. There's, ways to, it probably already has all the information, the most recent information. These are the same courts, especially in Tarrant County. So, I'm getting a little animated here, because after I heard that, I went, wait a second. This does not add up at all. It just seems like we're being... I mean, I don't want to come out and say it, but it seems like it's blatantly obvious that there's just something not right. I mean, every time I peel back a layer of that onion, I'm like, wait a second, this doesn't make any sense. But the other thing I wanted to kind of capitalize on is David Cook, who... the name David Cook doesn't mean anything to you. He was down at the JJFI, and he was him and his other guys there were responsible for killing HB 803. And if you watch the end of my podcast, you'll see some other interesting information on that topic, and kind of tying some things in. That I'm hoping that the rest of the equal shared parenting community and other people that are working with our legislators and things like that, you see it, and hopefully, God willing, make some connections here. Because I'm tired of being the only guy on the mountaintop. I mean, I say the only guy at this point. Other people are waking up to it, but we need more people waking up to what seems to be happening. It just doesn't pass the sniff test. But I wanted to capitalize on David Cook here. His statements that he made, and again, 2 hours worth. There's lots of boneheaded. I'd be here all day. But David Cook, making a comment about, it's in the law, and then, of course I know he was joking about, they should just follow the law, but having it in bold print, I mean, this is just nonsense. But the other part of it is that David Cook, in the last HB 03, he comes out and says, oh, I'm for equal shared parenting, I'm going to draft a bill, blah, 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 blah. I've been talking with people that have been in direct contact with him to get that done, and nothing has been done. So that should tell you what you're dealing with. And more importantly, remember this come election time. I mean, I keep harping on this. Election time is when you're going to get promises across the board, and everything else. You need to hold these people accountable. This isn't rocket science at this point. And there's not a whole lot of things we can do once they're in, but you can hold them accountable and look at their record and do something about it. You're seeing, a great example here. All right, let's go ahead and finish this part of the video, and then we'll get on to one of the next one, which is I thought funny.
How how that's transmitted to law
Okay,
enforcement.
let's go on to the
Chair
next one here.
recognizes
So,
Jeffrey.
I got a chance to talk to Jeff the Legend Morgan. I don't know. He goes by so many different names. Everyone, if you don't know Jeff Morgan, go out to his YouTube channel. You'll see hundreds, thousands of videos that he's made. And again, he kind of, well, like me at this point, definitely not directly impacted. So I guess we can be a little bit freer with what we say. But he has kind of made this a personal mission to get all these wrongs righted. But here's an example of what we're dealing with, and also I have, of course, the evidence to back it up. But he is going to speak on the open courts and talking about the protection orders. And one of the things, and again, that he rightly pointed out, I went back and actually listened to it as best I could. It's 2 hours long. No one said correct or valid protective orders. Everyone talked about getting them done quickly and easily and efficiently. And again, I understand I'm being abused and things like that. But again, and he pointed out, Heard, Johnny Depp, Amber Heard, hello. We just can't ruin someone's life over allegations, and he rightly points out a lot of good information. So let's go ahead and listen to the legend himself.
Morgan.
My name is Jeffrey Morgan. I'm from Dallas, Texas. I drove down here today, several hours, a couple hundred miles. I thought this was a very important issue to talk about, but I'm not going to actually be saying the same thing that you've been hearing. I want to talk about the other side of it. What about perjury with protective orders? On October the 26th, 2018, family justice attorney Leslie Levy gave a continuing legal education class in Williamson County Court. Representative Tallarico, I think that's where you represent, right? And she was teaching attorneys, family law attorneys, how to use protective orders to gain an advantage in divorce. She was telling them that don't file them criminally. Here's the way you do it, because this gives you a better tool for negotiation. And the family law attorneys were laughing and chuckling. And by the way, I have the video. I'd be very glad.
And Mr. Morgan, is your testimony
No,
related?
I have done protective orders, just so that y'all are like, who is this woman and what does she know? I have done them for our office. Who here has handled a divorce? Oh, basically everyone. Who here has handled a divorce and filed a protective order as part of it? Okay, still mostly everyone. Love that. Who here has handled a divorce with family violence and referred the protective order to my office? All right. I'm going to tell y'all why you shouldn't do that. Not only because it's more work for me, but as part of a protective order, as it seems like most of y'all have enough basis to know that a protective order carries criminal consequences. Accordingly, that makes it a pretty heavy tool in negotiating a divorce. If it goes through my office, it's a lot harder to use it in negotiating a settlement to your divorce. So I would encourage you very strongly, if you have one of those cases, to do the protective order as part of your case. It gives you more leverage in negotiating a settlement. If you're like,
No,
well, that's
I'm
great.
coming.
So again, right from the horse's mouth. She said it a number of times in the entire video. You can go to Jeff Morgan's YouTube channel and watch it in its entirety. Actually, he gave me permission to go ahead and put it on my YouTube channel, and you can watch it there. But you can hear the entire thing, and there's a lot more information. I mean, she goes into a lot of detail on the different types of protective orders and all that. But you heard her in the first minute and a half that you use it as a negotiation tool in your divorce, and that's why they're handed out like candy. That's why all this stuff. I mean, that's why was it something like 70, 80 some odd percent. Well, they did a study, 70, 80%, and I think the number's actually higher. I think was it Florida or United States? I can't remember which state it was, or if it was a national one. I have to probably dig that up. But in a divorce, the protective order, the claims of abuse, it was something like 80% of all protective orders were fake, false, and there is zero repercussions for doing it. So if you want to get out of the marriage with cash and prizes so you can go be independent, what's stopping you? And of course, these lawyers, that's part of their script they tell you, and that it's all there. But anyway, let's continue on with Jeff talking to DWI recipient Victoria Naviave.
Goals to reporting domestic violence?
I think it is. Yes, absolutely. So, because what you're saying is you want to reduce the obstacles. I want to make sure that we have accurate testimony. And I think if you reduce the obstacles to the place where anybody can submit anything, and a protective order gets used as a weapon, such as Assistant District Attorney Leslie Levy advocated doing in a continuing legal education class, that is a problem. There needs to be some obstacles to make sure that what is being submitted is accurate. Have any of you ever had a
Mr. Morgan, the charge is examining obstacles to the reporting of domestic violence.
Right. I would say the accurate reporting, not fake reporting. Have you ever experienced a protective order being filed against you?
Mr. Morgan, I'm going to repeat one more time. If your testimony is not on this issue, then we're going to have to close testimony. So the interim charge is examining obstacles to the reporting of domestic violence and how these obstacles contribute to the difficulty in obtaining and enforcing a protective order. It sounds like your testimony is the opposite.
What I am saying is that,
obtaining a
yes,
protective order.
because it said you could be neutral on the topic. It did not say for or against,
We need
and I am
testimony.
addressing the topic.
We need testimony about examining obstacles, I'm going to repeat one more time, to the reporting of domestic violence and how they contribute to the
And
difficulty
Swanson jumps in,
obtaining
and
and
I don't know
enforcing.
what the
Okay,
hell
so I'll
she's
tell you
on.
what, I
I've
will
listened
go
to her
along with
stuff.
everybody else and say I
Weird.
love the Zoom hearings. I wish that we would have Zoom hearings for testimony down here so I wouldn't have to drive down 200 miles. But I think that the Zoom hearings do contribute. And you know what else? What they contribute? They allow the public to see what's actually going on in their courts. And so I would completely support 100%
Watch 'em
the
all freak out.
continuation of remote hearings. I would also like to see the remote hearings perhaps stay online a little bit longer so that we could actually see what's going on in them. I would love to see that if we talk about making protective orders easier, that we also make it easier to prosecute perjury, which does not happen. And I think we all know that. And having been on the receiving end of this, and I'm going to speak a few more moments and then I'll stop. Having been on the receiving end of this, in fact, I will give you my one-pager.
You know, watch that. I mean, David can't even, like, really?
It was going to be
How
so easy to
childish.
file a protective order because, of course, the courts would just grant it. Even though there were no basis, no allegations. I work for the federal government. I've held top secret clearances. I've gone to seminary, Bible college. I've been a missionary. I've worked with Iraqi refugees, other migrants that have come to the States. And I had a protective order filed against me. It cost me $20,000 to defend myself. And by the way, Representative Frank, it was in
Cha-ching.
part because on one of them, because CPS did not tell my daughter what actually happened. I was out of state. I had a protective order filed against me. So I am not, I want legitimate protective orders filed. Legitimate. But as Leslie Levy said, you can use these orders to gain an advantage negotiating. You've talked about
And they all know
divorce, and you've talked
it. They'll
about
use
CPS.
it, I'll bet.
And all I can tell you is that the way that we have it right now, when you make protective orders so easy that they're immediately believed and not challenged, and I, on the other hand, have to spend $20,000 to defend myself,
No repercussions.
and I was one of the lucky ones because I actually had a judge that listened to the testimony and wanted to write against me because, you know, let's just hand out another protective order. Hey, yeah, rah, rah. We're going to get another protective order going. And once she saw the evidence, she saw that it was completely fabricated. Was there any repercussions for perjury? No.
Chair recognizes Vice Chair Swanson.
Yes, thank you. I realize we're running into this, you know, what's germane. But
That's
I
her
feel
favorite
like
word,
what
by the
you're
way.
trying to get to and tie
Needs to get a better
in
thesaurus.
my mind, does tie in, because if we're looking at how to do something, but there's a flaw to it, in my mind, that is very much germane. Tell me, or tell us how, okay, why do you think there would be more inaccuracy and it'd be harder to catch perjury online than in person?
So when you're online, you are in front of the public. I mean, I've been in cases, because I watched some cases. There have been up to 800 people or more watching. Now, if you know that there are 800 people watching you, are you more likely or less likely to commit perjury? Are you more likely to tell the truth, or are you less likely, knowing that out of these 800 people, maybe there's going to be a lot of people that says she lied or he lied?
Now,
So
I'm
that's
confused. I thought you were against online.
no, I'm completely for it.
Okay.
He
No,
already-
no,
and he
I
said
love
it.
online hearings.
Okay, I thought you were the opposite. Okay.
No, absolutely. But like I said, all I would say is that, you know, we in everything that I've heard so far, except for one statement that you made, Chairman Niave, you talked about it's both men and women. And by the way, I called your office last year and about this whole issue, and they called me back, and I was appreciative of that. They actually called me back about this. But the question was,
Thank
well,
you.
are we protecting poor people? But the underlying assumption seems to be that we need to protect.
It sounds like her in
every-
that Casa video where, you know, the lady or the can't remember, actually, there's too many acronyms, but she was trying to get information on the equal shared parenting bill, and she's like the leader of I cannot remember the name of the group, but Diaby was like, thank you, yeah, and just couldn't be bothered while she's petting some dog. I mean, that's the typical, and this is who gets elected. I mean, these are our leaders. It's just ridiculous.
every woman from every evil man, the Duluth model.
Mr. Morgan.
But we forgot
Mr.
we forgot
Morgan.
the Amber Heard situation.
Mr. Morgan, I'm going to
Yes.
repeat to you one more time. Your testimony has to be on topic with respect to the difficulty of obtaining and enforcing a protective order.
There's no difficulty right now.
Yes,
Listen
sir,
to the
there
2
is. We
hours
just heard from
prior to him.
multiple witnesses.
Listen to
there's
Leslie
nothing-
Levy.
If there's nothing else, we
Wait a minute.
appreciate it.
Let me
We
just
have
go
your
ahead.
testimony.
Can I play Leslie Levy's
No,
video for
sir,
you?
you can provide it to the clerk, and we will email it to the committee members.
I'll be very glad to do so.
Thank you.
I just
Thank
think that what you're looking at right here, you are
We're
making it
looking at
easier
in-
for people to
Okay, I'm going
lie.
to cut you off.
Absolutely, go ahead.
This is,
And by the way, I appreciate it.
okay, Mr. Morgan, thank you. Thank you for your
Yeah.
testimony. Is there anybody else here who
I would love to
is
talk.
not part of invited testimony that is here to testify
Morgan was too nice.
from the public?
No, there was, something else.
Okay, members, we've concluded all of the testimony and topics for today's hearing. Do we have any further announcements or comments from the committee members? Okay. Hearing none, the meeting is adjourned, subject to the call of the chair.
All right, you bitches, it's Miller time.
Okay, so I mean, it was great that Morgan got in there and talked with them and everything, but it, again, falls on deaf ears. I mean, this is the show. I mean, it's ridiculous. But you know, outside of people not even understanding, you know, that he was for or against. I mean, that just shows like what we're dealing with here. It's just insane. And then they're elected, and it's Democrat and Republican. That it's not even a party situation. Why it becomes so important to elect a person, not a party. You know, voting down the ballot and all that stuff. It's just. But anyway, you can listen to the 2-hour entire video in its entirety on the Texas streaming website. But you know, it's mind-numbing. You're gonna want to like just. Smack your head with a hammer, and you know, I would say if you're going to use a hammer, smash that like button. Haha. Okay, so kind of tying in some of those comments, I wanted to go ahead and bring up a post that I had made. Whoops, wrong one. There we go. that I put out there. I actually got this from I can't remember the site or the page, but they were talking about, I think it was transgender bill. Yeah, doing it. Again, we all know what happened with Click and the other cohorts, and oh, we're cool, we're conservative, we're Republican, we do this, we do that, we're Democrat, and someone had made a step-by-step guide that I've been talking about for years, but they posted it, and I'm like, yeah, it's not just equal shared parenting, it's not just anything else. This is what they all do, and we're stupid enough to fall for it every time. I mean, apparently we all think that the stripper really likes us, but and this is again, it was this was the out sex change. This was completely unrelated to equal shared parenting, which the time I think this one was done, it was number 93 on the plank and yada 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 and 3 special, all that are nonsense. But so Texas legislators have pulled this scam for decades. Yeah, decades. This other block in HB 30. Okay, so again, and if you don't believe me, listen. Filter this, and again, I'm going to ask for people to think outside the box here, but filter this through equal shared parenting, custody interference, anything that happens, and see if you notice a pattern or some similarities. So one is author or co-author conservative bill, liberal bill, whatever, that the liberal establishment doesn't want, but makes the legislator look conservative to constituents. I mean, yeah. Now, delay the bill in committee until the end of the session. I'm just gonna make it low hanging fruit for you guys. HB 803. This was like so textbook, and there's videos. It was on the news. Who knows how many people reported on it being delayed. But anyway, number 2, delay the bill in committee until the end of the session. Tell the ward constituents it's going through the process and shrug. 3, ensure the bill will be killed in the calendar committee. Oh, wait, now, for my Republican buddies, and by the way, I'm a hardcore conservative. I vote Republican 99% of the time. I think I've only voted for one Democrat my entire life. Anyway, even though any Republican or Democrat, depending on their bill, on the committee can offer a motion to put any bill to a vote on the floor, the bill magically never gets a vote in calendar committee. What Republicans were on there? You got David Cook. I believe Leach was on there. I have to pull my list up here again. I needed like a flow chart or something to kind of keep all the names and lies and nonsense and everything straight. But it could have been done by anybody. Was it done? No. Number 4, my favorite, tell the constituents we ran out of time. Tell them how conservative we are and to offer the bill, even though they killed it behind the scenes. What the hell have I been saying for years to people that no one listens to? Number 5, constituents are satisfied that we tried our best. Liberal Texas establishment, can't even talk, is happy that they block conservative legislation. The establishment rewards the legislator with campaign funds and media attention to stay in office. And number 6, they laugh all the way to the bank. That is textbook HB 803. That is textbook pretty much every bill. That's why we end up with the lemonade stand bill and nonsense like bills like that. So they all look good, but yet they're can't contribute to my campaign. We've got to do this. We've got to do that. It's all nonsense, and you people honestly believe the stripper likes you. I don't know how else to put this. And the problem with me is I see it all and I try to get it out there, but people still buy it. I mean, I showed information on one candidate, showed all the information, and they're like, nope, 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 nope. I'm still voting for blah, 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 blah. Idiots. There's just no other way around it. Just plain idiots. I do want to. I'm not going to name names, even though I could. I've been given permission to name this, but totally switching gears back to the protective order nonsense. I mean, listen to the 2-hour item or thing there, and again, a lot of it was Tarrant County and Dallas County. The people that were speaking about it, and they were just giving this flowery, hey, having things in person and or not, or they have the security and doing all these different things, and I think back to an event or a number of events. I guess 8, 9 years ago was someone I care about, and they were going through that with their ex-husband or soon-to-be ex-husband, and she would call the Dallas County courts and or the protective order people, whatever, and say, "Hey, I've got a court date today," blah blah blah, and all that, and she would ask questions. Hey, I don't want to see this person. I mean, the building's pretty large and yada yada yada, and they were like, nothing will happen. Don't care. So this whole the police do this, the police or the guards there, and we have it's all secure. It's a bunch of nonsense. When I went, actually, I was concerned because after this person said that they had to go and to finalize their divorce and things like that, which, by the way, they didn't use it as leverage for divorce. But when they went there, they talked to the attorney, the two of the protective order judges or whatever, and they basically said, "Yeah, you're on your own." That was the response. And so I took day off of work myself and went down and escorted this young lady to the courthouse, watched over, and met up with the person that had the protective order filed against, because, shocker, they were there to do something, and made sure nothing happened. Also, by the way, for the folks that, pissed off parent, hates women, yada, 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 and all that nonsense, yeah, no. I just don't sit there and talk and brag about it and try to pump myself up, but I do things like that all the time. I just don't broadcast it for likes or shares or personal attention. But going back to that case, had I not been there, something would have happened. But thankfully nothing did, and everything turned out okay. That was at the Dallas courthouse, actually. I don't live in Dallas, so it was a nice little drive for me, but I wanted to make sure that person was protected, and they were protected. So enough about that. Well, try to put a positive spin on this. So everybody knows I've been doing the podcast here for a couple weeks. We've been doing it more ad hoc, trying to get into a cadence, learn the technology, playing with it, hoping to grow that and share information so that people can use and things like that. I've also moved on to being able to pull guests in live. So actually on their iPhone or Android phone, I can pull them into the conversation, have them as a guest and things like that. So if anybody's interested in doing something like that, I can also mask that person if they don't want their face shown on video. I can do that as well, but there's a lot of things there. So there's that. Again, I'm hoping that I'm judging it by the reactions, the sharing, likes, and things like that. It's telling me, does it make sense to do? I mean, I enjoy doing it, but I could actually sell this to this whole format and everything else, the way it's done, the software behind it, to a different degree, but I can actually sell this to other people that are trying to do it that just don't know how. But I'm actually spending my time here to inform people and things like that. So, again, throwing it out there, if you want to see more content, if you want to see this continue and things like that, be sure to follow, be sure to like. Actually, I just crossed over 1,200 follows, so which is awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you. That tells me, hey, 1,200 people, at least in some way, are excited about, or care, I shouldn't say excited, but care about my stuff enough to let me know, hey, make some more. Anyway, not a whole lot I have left to talk about. I may do more throughout the weekend as I've received some additional information, maybe some helping people out that were, as far as providing data and information and things like that. But like, comment. Again, the chat function, as you can see, is up. Looks like we didn't have a whole lot of people on for the live. Is what it is. Of course, that'll kind of dictate if keep the chat piece up. If not a whole lot of people are going to be on, but they follow it and watch it later. then it doesn't make sense to take up that real estate with a chat function to be able to communicate back and forth. But anyway, I hope everyone's having a good day. I've been sitting here talking for about 40 minutes. Hope you enjoy the format. If you have ideas for future ones, please, shoot me an email to admin@pissedoffparent or admin@pissedoffparent.com. The phone number actually goes to a voicemail currently for a call-in show if you just want to dial in. But I figured that the iPhone, Android video thing would be kind of cooler to do that to get more interactivity and things like that. But I hope everybody has a good rest of your day, and peace out. It's Miller time.